Hey, I'm Ben. We're at Grass Clippings Golf Course in Phoenix, Tempe area. I am about to interview Karrin Taylor Robson, who is one of the Republican candidates for governor in Arizona. It's their second time running. Arizona is primed to be this very pro-Bitcoin. They just need the leadership from up top to honestly stop vetoing the bills. Interesting conversation. We'll see what she really stands for.
Are you running for governor? I think so, Karrin, because if you do, you're gonna have my support, okay?
Soakquest. My first memory of any geopolitical event, I'm 31, was 9/11. Lived through the 08 crisis, COVID.
You are old, and that's okay.
When I think about the government, I mostly think about constant decay, constant getting let down, and not really any successes outside of maybe my road getting fixed. And then the government's been shut down for 9 days. And the only thing that I've really noticed is my plane being delayed. And so it's these cool infrastructures there, but it just seems like as an individual citizen, the way to affect change is just to kind of opt out of the system because it's been failing me. You had this successful career outside of politics, and now you're moving into politics to affect change. I'm curious where your mindset goes in that is why politics now?
My career as a business executive was sitting on the other side of the table from government. I had to navigate all levels of government. And so I saw firsthand the impact on business and individuals of government overreach, government regulations. You said something in the lead up here about, the only thing you saw good was your road getting fixed. That's a local decisions typically to fix roads. So the closer decisions are to the individual, they tend to be better decisions. And the farther away they get, the worse they are. Exhibit A is Washington, D.C., where our career politicians who have been there for decades and decades, the only bipartisan support or agreement you can get in Washington is how to spend money. They're spending our money. They're spending our children's money. They're spending your money. Our national debt has gotten so big, and they just print more money, and then it devalues our dollar. I'm very concerned that the next generation is completely losing faith in that system. But it's a rational thing to lose faith in the system that's been failing them. I'm passionate about, making sure that the next generation has opportunities I had, and yet we're saddling the next generation with so much debt that the disillusionment is real.
It seems like the incentive, especially on a national level, the incentives are super broken because if you fail, you can always just print more money and paper over the problem. But that printing money is absolutely theft. So
more money, more problems.
It's this interesting place for Bitcoin to enter the conversation on a state and local level, where if the United States government adopts Bitcoin in a serious way, starts buying it, that's kind of the end of the dollar hegemony. It's kind of signals that everyone else sees. It's this huge market signal that everyone else sees, whereas states are looking to fill holes in the budget, pay pensions, and increase their sovereignty in a lot of ways, and buying Bitcoin really increases that sovereignty. And so I'm wondering if you could talk about it's kind of the different incentives, the incentive for Arizona to bring Bitcoin into the fold, whatever that would be, kind of compared to maybe the incentive from the national government.
I believe that this country will be saved through the states. And our founders gave us, in our founding documents and our Constitution, really left that pressure valve, that pressure relief valve to the states and the governors. And we are the incubators of innovation. And so I think governors can do a lot to support the Bitcoin, the crypto world and Bitcoin. And I plan to do that. I mean, I've made it very clear. I want Arizona to be the most crypto-friendly state in the nation, because I think that will attract young, innovative, talented people that care about their future and want to invest in their future. And they don't want to see their hard-earned money in whatever form. They don't want to see it diluted like Washington, D.C. is good at. We're going to show the rest of the country things that we can do to make sure the Bitcoin world wants to be here in Arizona.
You're big on education. That's amazing. There's so many quotes from founding fathers or just important people in history that if you don't care about the children, you'll lost the future of your nation. But you're also living on this 4-year or less political timeline. And we're talking about these long-term investments. So how do you think about actually getting stuff done and getting reelected?
Well, number one, you never compromise your principles. But you also have to work with people, right? You have to bring people together. And I have a long passionate history about free speech and the First Amendment.
Fuck yeah.
I will model that. But it means sometimes, bringing people together that don't agree on things, getting them around the table, discussing ideas. Free speech is about the creation of knowledge. You have to be able to be free to throw out ideas, defend your ideas, maybe even change ideas, maybe learn something in the process. I, for one, am, wanting to learn more everywhere I go. On the campaign trail for governor, I'm learning a lot every day, and I love it. And I've got a lot more to learn, believe me, when it comes to Bitcoin and crypto generally. But I do know that our current governor is not friendly to it and has not been open to that kind of innovation. We're going to bring people together. We're going to talk about it. We're going to figure out how to achieve the goal of making this state the most Bitcoin and crypto-friendly state in the nation.
In talking to Julian, who details all the bills, everything going on in every state, he was very much like Arizona is one of the most forward, or at least like putting together bills and putting them into the system about Bitcoin and crypto regulation and Bitcoin reserves. But there's no chance of getting anything passed because even if it makes it through every single committee, it just gets vetoed. And it gets vetoed in these, like he said, 50-word memos that are just kind of vague, describing why. And Arizona just seems primed.
It is. And I want to make Arizona the startup capital of the country and tap into the young entrepreneurs that want to live here. They want to be in an environment where they can speak freely, work hard, treat people well, and keep more of what they earn. Somebody said the other day to me, it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. The government wants to keep taking and taking in the form of regulations, in the form of taxes. This next generation is wising up to Washington's wasteful ways, and I think they're tired. I'm sick and tired of it.
Speaking for my generation, at least, it's frustration. It's like, okay, we were dealt this bad hand. How do we get ahead? I'm curious, like a lot of Trump's rhetoric was around America first. There's some things that I'm frustrated with, having voted for him. There's some things I'm happy with. And a lot of the things I'm happy with are things that aren't happening anymore, honestly. I always thought I would go to jail for being a Bitcoiner at some point, or at least be labeled a criminal for otherwise law-abiding ways.
You undercook fish, believe it or not, jail. You overcook chicken, also jail.
I'm wondering, like, what's the winning move in your eyes as far as like to voters speaking about Bitcoin? Because a lot of people don't care. There's a lot of people who care very fervently, and in my view, everyone should care. But it has to be a winning issue to a degree. And I'm curious, like, how you speak to people who aren't as into it, why it matters.
We have a tremendous affordability problem, and that touches everybody. I was in the grocery store recently and, 2 bags at $160 walking out of the grocery store. That's because of inflation. That's because Washington printing money and devaluing my dollar.
Thank you!
I want to not have my dollar turned into, 90 cents, then 80 cents and 70 cents, and then have, $100 bags of groceries. That impacts everybody. And so I think as governor, I can talk about the excesses of Washington and how we have to do something different.
So last question, could you compare and contrast what it's like to be America first versus Arizona first? And just kind of those ideas.
It's about putting people first. It's about empowering the individual. It is about unleashing the potential of the human potential of every individual. And to me, that means getting government out of the way. Cut regulations, cut red tape, keep as low of a tax environment as possible so that people can flourish and people can achieve their God-given dreams.
Hey, I'm Ben. I'm sitting here with
Karrin Taylor Robson, candidate for governor of Arizona.
We're at Grass Clippings, and we're not filming anymore. So in interviewing a politician, I'm always extremely skeptical on what they say. I'm looking for very small cues, especially in the Bitcoin world. I think it's pretty standard to kind of overlook something like saying crypto. If it's Bitcoin and crypto, that's awesome, because I think politicians don't really want to be seen as like picking the winner, whether or not they believe Bitcoin is that winner or just even related with crypto at all. It's a looks game, so they don't want to be perceived like that. But in talking to Karrin, I kind of threw her some questions that didn't mention some words that I was really looking to hear. One of the things that stuck with me is she said, I really want to empower the individual political when asked about like what America First means and Arizona First means, and that's huge for me. It seems like she wants to get rid of regulation, and she quote unquote wants Arizona to be a hub for tech, for innovation, for Bitcoin and crypto. I think a lot of times that would be extremely just lip service, but Arizona is really primed to lead in Bitcoin policy. They just need a governor who's not going to veto every bill. So I heard stuff that like I was actually kind of psyched on, especially for someone that's running for governor of a pretty major state. Just given kind of the state of where things are in Arizona, it's likely that something actually gets done. So we'll see. Hopefully she wins and actually does some good shit.